Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Clarity, Preventing Substance Misuse. I'm Timothy Foster.
And I'm Natalie Taylor.
And we're from the Martin Luther High School Empower Group. Today, we're continuing our discussion on the opioid settlement funds and how they're shaping prevention, treatment, and recovery efforts in our community.
In part one, the students talked with Carolyn McCourt and Shelley Larson about how these funds are being allocated and the prevention initiatives the funds are supporting. Today, we're shifting the focus to treatment.
We're joined by Andrea Nielsen and Rich Odom, both licensed alcohol and drug counselors, LADCs, who work directly with individuals seeking treatment and recovery services in our area. They'll share what treatment looks like in a rural community, what's currently available, and what's needed to expand access to care.
Before we dive in, here's a quick rundown of how the settlement funds will support treatment efforts.
Healing Hearts LLC is expanding peer support services in Martin County, starting part-time and working toward full-time as they secure funding. They aim to support both adults and teens by partnering with local schools.
Faribault Martin County Human Services helps families impacted by substance use by connecting them with recovery resources and working to keep kids with their families. They're also looking to improve transportation options so more people can access support.
MixApp plans to hire a bilingual project coordinator to better connect with the growing Mexican and Guatemalan communities in our area, ensuring prevention and intervention efforts reach everyone.
Celebrating Families is focused on breaking the cycle of addiction by teaching families, both parents and kids, about healthy living, recovery, and setting strong boundaries.
Now, let's get into the conversation. Andrea and Rich, can each of you tell us a little bit about yourselves and the work you do?
So I work for Fountain Centers here in Fairmont. I run intensive outpatient treatment. We also have outpatient treatment. I also sit in on the Faribault Martin County Treatment Court and the Family Dependency Treatment Court that's offered here.
All right, awesome. Rich, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Rich Odom. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor and a licensed professional clinical counselor. My wife and I have a private practice here in town, mostly her. I do that very part-time. I currently work for Martin and Faribault County Human Services, doing substance use assessments, supervising some of the adult mental health stuff, and working with Andrea at Fountain Centers in the drug court and family dependency treatment court. And just really happy to be here and glad you guys are doing this. Thank you.
Yeah. Definitely.
Andrea and Rich, to start us off, can you give us an overview of the current treatment options available for individuals struggling with opioid use disorder in Martin County?
So Fountain Centers, we offer intensive outpatient treatment, which is 3 days a week, and then outpatient treatment, which is 1 day a week. Most start 3 days down to 1 day and then graduate. We also link with mental health services, psychiatry services for mental health medications. So that's with Fountain Centers, and I know there's Recovery in Motion here in town as well, which is offering residential treatment at this time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And so another question we have is, with the new opioid settlement funds coming in, how do you think this funding will make a difference? Are there any gaps it's helping to fill or things you're especially excited to see happen because of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening these days. We have Fountain Centers here in town and Recovery in Motion for people who are needing residential services. There's a lot of treatment centers in Minnesota and a lot of good treatment centers in Minnesota. And so transportation to those treatment centers and back is something that the opioid settlement funds can help with. They can also help with funding some of the peer recovery stuff. Like Healing Hearts has a grant, and they're ramping up their peer recovery services. I talked to them the other day. They can work with kids also, ages 16 and 17. I don't think they can go below that, but for kids who are struggling with this, they can help with that too. Where'd you go? Desta, you guys hired a Spanish-speaking person to help with MixApp, so that's awesome. We have an expanding Spanish-speaking community here in Fairmont, and I've done quite a few assessments lately where I've needed an interpreter, so it's great to have someone Spanish-speaking. And Celebrating Families was funded through these funds. That's really, really a great program. Really helpful for the parents who are in drug court or family dependency court. And I don't think you even necessarily need to be in one of those to attend, but the kids also get to attend. And that's really important for giving some knowledge to the kids, some coping skills, getting the family together to have a meal and spend time together and build connection. It's a really great program, and we're really looking forward to seeing that keep happening throughout the future.
Mm-hmm. One big focus of the funding was hiring peer support specialists or recovery coaches. Healing Hearts LLC is expanding peer support services into Martin County and partnering with schools. How do these roles support individuals in treatment and recovery? And what kind of impact do you think this expansion will have on both youth and adults?
Peer recovery is a great resource to have in the community. Give someone almost like a mentor within the community, someone who's in recovery themselves, can help get to meetings, help open their mind to meetings, sobriety, activities in the community to get out and live in a different lifestyle for them.
All right, thank you. Another major barrier to treatment in rural areas is transportation. How are these funds being used to address that challenge, and what still needs to be done?
A lot of challenges down here in rural Minnesota for transportation, just medical appointments, mental health appointments, to getting to treatment and back from treatment. There's people who end up on 72-hour holds, and so they end up over in South Dakota, or it could be way up north. And when they get discharged, if a family member can't come and get them, they're kind of stuck. So transportation for that can be utilized through these funds. There's also, even with telehealth services available these days, there are still people who need to get somewhere, and either they don't have a driver's license or they don't have a reliable vehicle. So transportation is challenging here for many of the folks that Andrea and I end up working with, and it's really important that these funds are able to be utilized for that. And we're starting to get more services here too, taxis and folks who are available even to give those rides. And it can get kind of spendy, so if families have a hard time affording it, this is really helpful.
And I'm going to say too, right now, there's medical rides that are offered to get to those medical appointments for physical health treatment. But there's more than outside of that, like which Rich was saying, need a license, getting to work, getting to community support meetings like AA or NA. So many things outside of just the treatment aspect of it. That's going to be really helpful with transportation.
And the peer recovery support folks can help with some of that. Not all of it, but they can help with getting them to meetings, getting them to treatment every now and then, or just taking them out to maybe drop them off at the theater with the kids to see a movie or something. Those guys are really, really helpful.
They are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Beyond direct treatment, the funds also support wraparound services like case management, employment training, and counseling. Why are these kinds of services so important for long-term recovery?
So employment services is really important to help get patients either back into the career force, and learning those skills, updating their resumes, and applying, getting to jobs. As far as the mental health piece, addiction and mental health almost go hand in hand. Co-occurring disorders is what that's called, and that's ongoing. That needs to continue even after addiction treatment is going on. So being able to continue with those services to help long term.
All right, thank you. A program called Celebrating Families takes a unique approach by involving the whole family in recovery. How important is it to include families in this process, and what kind of difference does it make?
It's really, really important. Everybody in recovery needs support, needs help. Also, the families need support and need help. Addiction's just a weird animal. And as people go through the process of becoming addicted, they drag their families right along with them, and everybody ends up being sick. I don't know how else to say that. There's emotional consequences, mental health consequences, even physical consequences to living under the stress. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know any active addicts among your friends or families. It just gets ugly, and it's painful, and it gets weird, and our society is coming to be more aware of it and more accepting that, yes, that's a disease. It's not their fault necessarily. They participated in developing it, but nobody wakes up one day and thinks, geez, I know, I really want to be an addict. That looks like a great time. So it's really helpful. Celebrating Families does a really good job, as do peer recovery specialists, as do people like Andrea, at meeting clients where they're at. Not everybody coming into treatment or coming into court or coming into Celebrating Families or coming into any place in our community thinks that they have an issue and really wants to do something about it. In fact, most people don't. So there's some techniques and some perspectives, one of them being motivational interviewing, that basically it's meeting someone where they're at and trying to help nudge them a little bit more towards greater well-being, greater health, greater connection to family and friends in the community. And it takes some time, and it takes building a relationship to do, but at the end of the day, addiction is really about broken connection and relationship, and recovery is stitching that back together, or maybe even putting it together for the first time. Some of the folks that attend Celebrating Families, kids are growing up in some really tough households, and there's not a lot of connection. Not that people aren't trying, but they just, due to addiction, don't have the ability to really pull it off well.
And for some, they think that the person who is the addict or struggles with the disease of addiction is the one that needs to make these changes, go through treatment, go through therapy, but it truly is that family connection that helps the addict themselves too. And then, because like Rich was saying, it does affect the whole family. So the family also puts in progress and changes to help with the whole family dynamic.
Thank you. Even with these new investments, are there still gaps in services or resources for people seeking treatment in our area?
Yes, definitely is. Like we were saying, it is a very rural community. Aside from Fairmont offering the services that they offer, other services are an hour away for other things that patients are able to get in connection with or start engaging in. Thankfully, there has come the world of telehealth, but that separates the connection that's needed amongst those in recovery. It truly is a whole support system. So really trying to incorporate them into more in-person type of support that's offered. So that goes back to the transportation piece.
Thank you. Looking ahead, what are the next steps for improving treatment options and expanding recovery support in our community?
It would be really great, I don't know, going back 10 years, maybe 20 years, we used to have a ton of treatment facilities and programs available for everybody. But really, we used to have a bunch for adolescents. And those have not completely gone away, but there's only 4 or 5 residential treatment facilities in Minnesota now, and they're really hard to get into. So it would, hopefully, as things evolve, those will come back more into the picture, and there will be more options for kids who are really needing to get away from home, get away from the community, and get off somewhere and get healthy and begin the process of coming back in a healthy way. So that's one thing hopefully we get to see again. We used to have outpatient treatment here in Fairmont for adolescents, and that went away, and hopefully that's also something that could come back. Telehealth is great for individual stuff. I've never done it with group stuff, so I don't know, but I do know engaging kids in treatment in person in group, that'll have a counselor needing to have their A game out every time. So doing that on telehealth would be really challenging. So that's one thing I'd really love to see expand as well. I guess just in general for our community and our society, the ability to meet people where they're at with, a lack of judgment and a lack of drawing conclusions about that person or their family. We really don't know what a person's been through or what they're currently going through. And most people with substance use have elevated anxiety, depression. Some have even more debilitating mental health issues that they're trying to address. But it does look not great from the outside, and people kind of get scared, I think, for the most part, and don't really know what to say or how to be helpful. So hopefully conversations like this, and maybe out in the community, at church or at the schools or just out at the park, people can maybe just be a little bit more curious about how they can be helpful and a little bit more open to maybe not making snap judgments on people.
Thank you. For community members who want to help, what are some ways they can support local treatment and recovery efforts?
Like what Rich was saying, kind of breaking down that stigma, that barrier that can be there. There are services for those in the community or even family members like Al-Anon or Alateen that's offered to also help their family members know their role, separating themselves and helping with that family dynamic once again.
There's also some good stuff happening out at the Fairmont Junior Senior High School with their secondary prevention efforts. They have a program out there now that seeks to help kids who are using and admitting, yeah, I'm doing some using here, and being open to just looking at it and talking about it with some adults who are also open to looking at it and meeting the kids where they're at and saying, hey, can we get you to back down from some of that? Or maybe even quit completely. That would be great. What gets in the way of that? Kind of a sad statement. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Drugs work, and they work really well for someone who really needs to change the way they feel right now. And so it's doing some very valuable things for folks, including kids, but at the same time that it's doing things for them, it's doing things to them that they can't necessarily see. And it really does take someone come along beside them to say, yeah, here's kind of what I'm seeing. I understand that, this is valuable to you. I get it. But there's also a downside to this stuff, and can we start talking about that a little bit? So it's really, if we could all get, better, just having the conversation without needing to dictate the outcome. It would be great if we could wave our magic wands and presto changeo, everybody's healthy and well, and families are great, and everything goes the way we want it to, but it doesn't work that way. It can happen, but it takes time, and it takes relationship, and it takes energy. So,
All right, thank you so much.
yeah.
And finally, as you reflect on the progress being made and the opportunities ahead, what gives you both hope for the future?
For me, it's being involved as a counselor with those that struggle with the disease of addiction through the treatment, witnessing the progress, witnessing the change that they make, and knowing that they see that in themselves too, and that continues to push them to continue to do well. Fairmont really does have a strong recovery community, and so that helps so much. Hearing about them attending meetings, sponsorship, having the more peer recovery support offered here now is another great resource that's here. So I enjoy what I do, working with patients. There's challenges to everything. Working with people, meeting them where they're at, and just giving them that nudge of, this is what's available. This is a life that you're able to live. And then when they accept that and make those changes, it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, I agree. And things like this are helpful and provide hope and optimism. There's a lot of neat stuff happening at the school. And as I go around town and have conversations with folks, whether it's at church or at the park or in the community or at the grocery store, people are open to having this conversation, and they're open to being helpful. If someone would ask them, hey, you want to come on over here, come with me. And okay, sure. So everybody, I think, is open to it and just maybe doesn't know quite how to be helpful. So I get a lot of hope from that. And, there's AA and there's NA and there's Alateen and there's all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I guess what really gives me hope is I really do believe that there is a God and He's in charge of things. And while it doesn't always go exactly the way we think things should go, there is a plan. It is in effect, and we all get to be a part of that process of being helpful to that plan if we choose to. So I would just encourage and thank you guys for playing your part here today, and Andrea, and let's hit it again tomorrow somehow.
Thank you, Andrea and Rich, for joining us today. Are there any last words you would like to say before we wrap up?
I too really appreciate the conversations that you guys are willing to have, willing to learn about, because it happens. We know that there's addiction. We know that people struggle, but we also know that there are services to help them. So having these conversations really does help, and what Rich does in the community is amazing. So I really do appreciate you too.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time and your efforts in doing this, and for representing a healthy way to be in the world at your school and out in the community. And thank you for everybody here who helps put these kinds of things on. And if I can ever be helpful to anybody who has any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I don't know if they include our contact information in on this stuff, but always love to hear from community members and family members, and anybody who's thinking, I could use a little help over here maybe. Please give us a call.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I think that being open and honest is a really critical part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you bet.
We hope you found this conversation about treatment and recovery resources in our community helpful.
Tune in next month as we talk with Dr. Jason Kilmer, a professor at the University of Washington, about his work preventing substance misuse among college students. In this episode, we'll dive into how prevention strategies differ from high school to college, and how college students can lead the way in creating positive changes on campuses.
Thanks for listening to Coffee and Clarity, Preventing Substance Misuse. Be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments who you'd like to hear from next.